Today's show brought to you in part by our very own Breeders' Cup Premium Guide. We are going to have all kinds of great info here for you folks. We're not talking about some tout sheet. Yes, there will be picks, but there'll also be betting strategies, professional bettor analysis, all kinds of things from a lot of the names you have seen on the In the Money Network over the years, including JK and myself making contributions. Go to inthemoneypodcast.com/BC. You get all the details. There's going to be a little price bump soon, so you may want to get over there this weekend and get it ordered. inthemoneypodcast.com/BC.
Welcome to this week's late In the Money media show. We have pick 4 action from Woodbine with Drew Coatney, late pick 5 Saturday action from Delmar with Marshall Sterling, and PTF and me are back together again for that late pick 5 at Aqueduct with their first weekend happening. Let's get right into it with Woodbine with Drew.
Today's show brought to you in part by our friends at Stable Duel. A new breed of gaming is here. I really, really like the Stable Duel app. This is a super fun way to play horses for a controlled cost all day, and you're using your brain in a different way. This is like traditional horse playing meets contests, meets fixed odds betting in a way, since you're buying horses at fixed cost. And then, of course, there's the fantasy aspect of it as well. Check it out. You can get more information at StableDuel.com. Download the Stable Duel app today. We've got games at Golden Gate and Woodbine happening this weekend, and then big stuff for the Breeders' Cup next week. You're going to be hearing much more content about Stable Duel over on the other podcasts on the network. Check it out. Download the Stable Duel app today.
And now I'd like to welcome in my special guest for the Woodbine pick 4 this week, Drew Coatney again, man. 3 weeks in a row, we keep seeing each other after months and months of not talking.
I know. I love it. Yeah. And we got home a couple winners last time we chatted. So I think we can keep this rolling. How are you doing? Happy Breeders' Cup Friday. We're recording on Friday morning right now.
It's been a whirlwind between a 40-hour work week and this. I am physically exhausted, but now excited that I got these 2 days off from work to watch the Breeders' Cup. But we have to talk about Woodbine first. Let's jump right into it. Race number 5 is a N1X allowance going 1 160 miles on the turf. This is a skull buster for me. I couldn't even figure out where to go. Where did you end up going here?
I'm glad you said that. I was going to ask you, can you confidently land on any of these horses? And I really couldn't. And I ended up going with 2 value plays, and I think that's how I'm going to see this one out. The first one I went with is number 11, External Peace. Last out, didn't break well from the gate, and just didn't seem to mentally have it that day. Mm-hmm. And the jockey made a huge move down the backstretch, and there was no hope for the quicken. It was like a premature move done way too early. So the non-finished effort down that lane in that last out just crossed the line through that. The second back had no real excuses, and we know this one can quicken, so maybe there's an opportunity that this one can step forward at a price for us.
For me, I just ended up on the number 3, Juxtapose. I like the last 2 races. I like the improvement. It was a big jump up when they finally got the horse to the turf, and I think that this filly out of Verrazano can just jump up and keep improving, because I know usually it's first and second time you want to see that improvement, but there's so much more to this horse, I feel. I think the number 4, Crystal Glacier, being a favorite, broke the maiden first time out under Declan Carroll at Ellis Park. Then they went right to the turf. Those races were kind of meh to me, and then came back on the synthetic and ran really well. So I'm hoping that this horse will maybe take a little bit more action based on the synthetic form compared to the turf form.
Yeah, I think Crystal Glacier is a bit of an overreaction. We will see, I think, a very important race. If Crystal Glacier wins and crushes here, I think there's a benefit elsewhere in the next race in the Maple Leaf Stakes that we'll talk about in a second. But I wanted to mention this. The other value play I had was the number 6, Say Hey. Last out was pinched hard in that first turn, a race that External Peace came out of as well. Non-finish effort down the lane. But 2 back, there was, again, I talk about these timestamps and when we're watching replays and how to read replays. At 6 p.m., 6:04 in 10 seconds. There we go. That's how we say that. 6:04 in 10 seconds. The jockey starts shaking the reins, and this horse just extends. You can visually see the horse extending and hitting another gear. And that got me excited. If we can replicate something like that today at 20-1, you may have that third off the layoff cycle up for this one as well. So I was really torn between say, hey, an external piece, but I think I'm landing on the number 11 external piece to really get the job done with putting the pieces together in terms of pace flow.
Let's move to the next race. Race number 6 is the Grade 3 Maple Leaf, going 1 1/4 miles on the synth. Tough race. These marathon races have always been kind of difficult for me. I ended up on a favorite and a horse at 5-1. What about you?
Yeah, I think we're going the same place. But again, let's look to see how Crystal Glacier runs in the event prior. I believe that one is the number 4 in the race prior, because those two squared off last time. And Heavenly Curlin, I was against the last out and proved me wrong, just breezing by the stablemate at the 8.5 furlongs. Now gets the distance, and I think it's important to know that Cassie has only trained this horse, recorded publicly, 1 furlong event. That signals to me he knows this horse can get all of the distance and will be able to sit the perfect trip. He's not worried. I just think that this one, if we get anything over 5-2, I feel like that's good value for us.
I feel when you look at this race as well, being at 5-1, Hernandez also jumps on. Usually when you see that top jockey take over for another jock, it's a very positive trainer intent signal. For me, though, also the favorite, Art of Almost, 2-1, outside post, has been in these types of races all along. Graded stake races. Sometimes you want the horse that has just been facing tougher competition. Obviously, you get the nice price in the 7 who's jumping up in class. This horse, though, 89 last time out, the 67 beforehand on the turf. I just feel that this horse really wants to be on the synth, and that last race signifies to me that they can also handle this upgraded Grade 3 race.
Yeah. If this one wins at the end of the day, I'm not going to be surprised, but it just felt like the figures were slightly lighter than what projects from the upside of the others. And I would even prefer taking Juliana, the number 6, to just get loose and run around the track today. So there's just a couple others that I liked in that mid-80s, high 80s range where I think the winner's going to hit for this event. So I think my answer was too short to back. I think it's logical, just that we might see less than even 2-1. Where do you think we'll see the morning line move when the betting starts for the number 10, Art of Almost?
I think you'll probably get 9-5, 8-5. I think 5-1 on Heavenly Curlin is a pipe dream, and I think you were right what you said. 5-2, 3-1 is going to be that sweet spot for that horse.
Yeah.
Let's move on to race number 7. It's a 40,000 claim. We're going 6.5 furlongs on the turf. This is a fun race. A lot of different ways you could go. What say you, Drew?
Fun race and a lot of ways to go. Sounds like the descriptor of we have no clue. Let's hope we get lucky. But no, I don't think so. I'm with you. It's a head scratcher. And in my post that I'll be writing for the In the Money blog that I'll be posting actually today, this morning, with some Friday Breeders' Cup picks as well sprinkled in, I liked the number 5 Rosebud's Hope. There's no real speed drawn to the inside, gets the cutback, gets a bit of a class relief in this bunch, even though it's kind of at the same level. The bunch he faced last was a little bit harder. And last event traveled wide and was against the pace flow. So basic handicapping 101. Let's see if we can get that. I have another pick that you shouldn't leave off your tickets, but I'll turn it to you in case you might have that.
I will say this big mistake in Rosebud Hope, I said could both be dangerous coming back into form. So those are 2 longer shots that you definitely should be using. Boogie with me at 9-2, good improvement since the layoff. I just really like the fact that the race 2 back being on the turf, you cut that away. The 2 races in between, you see that 64-72 improvement. Are we going to get another step forward? 4th off the layoff. Everyone loves that 3rd off the layoff spot. But I just think that Camara is a very good jockey. The horse is 0-4 on the Woodbine turf, but you're going to get that price, though, that 9-2 price where you're never going to have a horse be perfect at 9-2. You're always going to have to be able to find those little holes that you can take advantage of. And I think this one will be interesting. Miss Savvy, the 4, just very consistent with the 70 buyers. I think that when you want to find a horse that's consistent, this is the type that you're going to want to find. Maybe won't improve over an 80, but you just know what you're going to get every time out with this. And if she fits within that realm that you think the winner's going to run, she has to be included.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree that you could spread in many different ways if you need to. I'm surprised you didn't say the number 9, Silent Respect. 3-1. I think this one will go off the favorite. Last out, washed off the turf, 2 back. Distance was too short and closed into against the pace low and time form. Thanks to the DRF formulator, the integration of time form US pace figures. The race was coded at 41 in the early parts of that race, and yet somehow this closer was able to bring herself into the race. So there's some talent there, and the added distance is only going to help. Wide draw stays out of the chaos and bad trips. Number 9, Silent Respect, should be left off. That's my thought. But what about you?
The only reason I'm keeping her off the ticket is because if I'm going to have 4 or 5 horses, I just don't want the favorite.
Fair.
I think it's negative value.
That's fair.
So let's move on to the final race. It is race number 8, the Grade 2 Autumn, 1 1/16 miles on the Sin. This is one short field. I think you got to go with the top 2, but I have an interesting play, and it's not the favorite.
I think we're all going to have this interesting play, but I was so mad at the Durham Cup. If you go back and watch the replay down the backstretch, Salute with Honor got it almost like he took a nap out there. They just let this one go. I know time form says these were coded at 150, or almost 150 in the first 2 parts of the race, and they were red. But sometimes you got to go back and watch the replays to see what does that actually mean. There was this break in the race that I believe gave this one the easiest of trips, regrouping and being able to carry on when it came time to run. So I am against the number 6 Salute with Honor because so many of those that face Salute with Honor come back here, and I think number 5 Skywire is going to be able to get the job done by not sleeping at the switch and pushing the issue a little bit more and making a much bigger wind-up move earlier in the race instead of waiting halfway through the turn.
Can't agree with you more. Skywire is my pick as well. Loves Woodbine. Grade 2 winner as well already. This one I think classes up very well. The 6 is dangerous, like we said, if people fall asleep again, but that can be said in every race when a front runner gets loose on the lead. I really think the number 5 is going to be the value. If we can get 8-5 to 5-2, somewhere in there, this is going to be an excellent value play. You had one quick thing to mention about the BC today. Let's hear it.
Wait, what's your creative idea? I thought you had another creative idea. Let's talk about
creative idea. Just not to take the favorite.
Oh, I got a creative idea, and it's in Vanzy. I thought you were going number 4 Vanzy.
Nah, no Vanzy for me.
Oh, I love Vanzy in this spot. Has been racing. Oh my gosh, my cat is going crazy behind me here, so I apologize for all of the visual disturbances. But the number 4 Vanzy, let's get back to handicapping here, has had some terrible trips on the yielding and soft against some really good horses and gets a little bit of a lighter spot with figures that were earned as a 2-year-old that are slightly competitive with this bunch. What's not to love, Spencer?
The race last time out, obviously yielding, but closed into fast fractions. The race 3 back was on a lead with slow fractions. Those are the 2 best races you kind of see out of the last little bit of the form cycle. I don't want horses with setups in this type of race.
All right. Those are very, very fair statements.
So let's get on to your BC play with, I believe it was Dirty Dangle, right?
Yeah, it is. It is the juvenile sprint, race 6 going off at 2:30 today. I think this starts with Golden Pal, the number 14, who is the 8-5 morning line favorite. That figure, in my opinion, is overstated. Sure, 92. No one else has a 92 in the field, but I always look at adversity. This one had no adversity on the day and got away with easy fractions. We go 2 back to ask it, had some adversity and wilted. Go 3 back, had some adversity and wilted. Today is going to have the adversity and has to go a little bit farther than those 2 races where this one was not able to hold on. I love Dirty Dangle, the number 12 in here, 20-1 morning line. Will we see number 14 Golden Pal be out to the front? Sure, absolutely, 100%. But Dirty Dangle's going to be able to stalk this pace, get a great ride from Gaffleone. And my notes were the first race, they knew they were sitting on something. They said, just go out there and win the race. Don't do anything crazy. Don't over push the horse. Just get it done. Second out, sat the pocket trip, showed great tactical ability and patience, which is a big thing for a horse at this age, to be able to mentally wait behind a wall of horses, bounce out 5 passes, and close like a freight train in 3 or 4 jumps.
Mm-hmm.
And then today gets the cycle up. And Cassie is not a stranger to this. The workouts continue to impress us. You leave this one off your ticket, I don't know what you're doing, because this is a great horse, number 12, Dirty Dangle. And what better way to celebrate the Woodbine shipper than a name after the hockey move? So let's see if the Dirty Dangle can get it done just like they do in hockey.
One more quick note on this race. Actually, as of this morning, number 8, Amanzi Yampila, who was my top pick, actually is scratched out of this race. So more madness as we get closer to Friday's card, starting in just a little bit over, hour and a half, 2 hours almost. Another wonderful time. Can't thank you enough for coming on. Good luck this weekend, and let's make some money.
Yeah, let's try and do it. Thanks, Spencer.
JK and I are happy to be partnering with TwinSpires.com on a number of different endeavors. We're both doing expert picks over on their site, me for New York, JK for the California racetracks. We're doing the Let Loose podcast together. If you haven't seen those, you want to check those out. We're going to be having plenty of stuff coming down the pike covering Breeders' Cup there as well. And we also want to let you know about a couple of promo offers. New players can sign up using the code GET200 for a $200 new player bonus. You can head to the TwinSpires offer page for all the details on that one. And you can also, in that same spot, opt in for the Churchill Downs bet back promotion this weekend. Hearing elsewhere in the show, great advice about Churchill Downs from Spenser and from Clay Sanders. Maximize your return by taking advantage of that Churchill Downs bet back promotion. Get the info over on the TwinSpires website under the offers tab.
And now with the Aqueduct late pick 5 from day, always good to be back at the Big A. We have PTF back with me, second week in a row, guest hosting as usual. Pete, how are you today?
I'm doing great, man. Can't wait to get over to the Breeders' Cup. But, there's time between Breeders' Cup races, and there's great stuff around the country, which is why we keep this show rocking and rolling. We're going to be paying attention to a little bit of Woodbine, following you guys in on your picks, and going to definitely be betting at Aqueduct as well.
Let's go right into it. Race number 6 is a state-bred filly, maiden special weight, 6 furlongs on the dirt. Kind of a short-priced favorite in this race. What did you go with here?
I'm still struggling a little bit to finalize my ideas in this race, but a few of the ones that I'm interested in for this maiden, I think Summer Brew certainly makes a ton of sense, and I want to kick off pick 5s using this one, who I think looking at the ones who've run just very basic form and figure stuff, should be able to get a good run through there. I'm also a little bit interested in one whose name is very far from something that I resemble. That's number 6, Teetotaler. Just looking at the pedigree angles on Teetotaler is one I feel like should be considered live in this spot. And I think my first thought was to try to get things kicked off in the picks just using those two, but I'm very curious what your views are on this one. The specifics of the Teetotaler pedigree out of Artemis Agroterra was a big bet on this day for me several years ago that didn't work out. But then the sibling is Chestertown, who folks will know. How did you see it, Spence?
I am going to fade Teetotaler. I am going to probably press Summer Brew early, and just because the two races, the last race and the debut, they just seem like they just are so much better than anything else in this field so far. And I like a horse on the outside to kind of be like a lone B, that being 12 Toes. Not this time, has been a fantastic sire so far. Every time me and Marshall talk, we're like, oh, who is that? Who is the sire for that? Oh, not this time. And at $12,500, it just seems like it's the best bang for your buck right now. Great works. Kelly Breen does okay with these, and Nick Juarez is, I think, an underrated jockey who I love to see when they bring all these guys up to Aqueduct.
What's your case against Teetotaler, or do you just prefer the others?
I just think that Chad is always going to take money. Although it is funny, him with Carmouche, they're 50% with a positive ROI in the limited starts. The two works that were decent. I just want to find something else when I'm already pressing a short priced horse as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
So let's move on to race number 7. It is a state bred maiden clamor going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Again, tough little race in here. What did you think, Pete?
Another one where I'm still leaving myself open potentially to change what I'm going to do. So I'm curious to see what you have to say. But at the top of my short list in this one, Posse Can Disco is an interesting runner. I think at the crazy price of what will hopefully be a crazy price of double digits. I just felt like you had a horse here that took money on debut, and then you can excuse that for a couple of different reasons. The break wasn't good, and it was also in the slot. But when you see a horse catch money like that you wouldn't necessarily think would have to catch money for any other reason, and now coming back 72 days later in a different barn, I just think this is live. It's a long shot angle. We should spend some time on a Red Board Rewind talking about at some point with the live second time starters. I feel like that's just a great area to fish for long shots, and you can consistently see second time starters pay more than they should. So Posse Can Disco is in the mix in that regard. And then also the first time gelding, I'm a little bit interested in under those conditions, even though it's been a long layoff, but has some good late pace. River Nile is another I want on side, but I'm reserving the right to add in a few more here. What did you think?
I actually have 2 others. Ring Good. I know David Donk is 0 for what feels like 80 now with the last time he got a win. Just the dropping class, the 56 buyer. I know it's not a big buyer, but it fits with this level just for when you look at the buyer pars, et cetera, and stuff like that. Route to Sprint, not that good. 2% out of 42 starters. I just like Louis Cardenas can be aggressive. You get the 7-pound weight advantage. I just feel that this horse at 9-2 is going to be a good price. One that I like even better, Brickyard, Eric Cancel for Jimmy Jerkins. After Peter Pugh. 0 for 17. Now you get the upgrade, I feel, to the Jerkins barn, and just never sprinted on faster and gets a class drop. Sometimes you need to take the lesser of evils in one of the books that Mark Kramer wrote about, talking about different types of how you can express races, and one of them is the lesser of evils. This one has never lost doing this today, and it's going to be a major price and could possibly spring an upset.
I think Brickyard's interesting because the clear pace on figures would appear to be Empire Express, but coming off 314 days, and you look at Timeform US, as great of a trainer as Brad Cox is, only kind of meh rated when it comes to bringing them back off this specific type of layoff. So let's say Empire Express isn't ready. Then you look at pace figures. Who's the next best speed? It's your Brickyard. So that's a very interesting one that I think I do want to have in the mix there. And then I have to decide about Empire Express. I mean, maybe the value is fading that one, though. Brad Cox, one of those trainers who seems to consistently kick sand in your face when you leave them out. So I'll see. I might just end up getting super spready in that one. No COVID pun intended.
Race number 8 is the 100K Stewart Manor, 6 furlongs on the turf. Where'd you go in here, Pete?
I like Magisterium right back. I like this one the last day, and it's one of those things where I love. I talk about racing flow all the time, and this one is like the double flow upgrade. And what I mean by that was I think, in my view, clearly against the flow last time in the Matron, and then looks to have plenty of pace to run into this time. I'm going to go with Magisterium on top, and I'll put a lot through Magisterium. I also like number 3, Illegal Smile. This one just has plenty of try on the tapes, and that one that beat her last time, somewhat of a wise guy horse in the juvenile turf sprint. Throw in the John Prine hunch play angle, Spenser, and you'll see why I'm going to have a lot of 7 and a little 3 on my tickets.
I think you have to use Magisterium. I'm going to use Morris just defensive because I just don't want to get beat when I'm already pressing with another short price horse earlier on. I agree with you with Illegal Smile. I like horses that already have that stake experience and then have hit the board. Obviously, shipping from Woodbine, always going to be interesting play. What about Magical Soul? Nice win, second time out, like we had just been talking about with your second time starters. DiCarlo in the irons can always get you a decent priced horse. I just like the improvement, and I like that it was the first time on the turf for this horse as well.
I wouldn't talk you off. There's definitely going to be a little bit of a pace battle in here. If Magical Soul can emerge the best of that, I was thinking by my reckoning that Herald Angel might be able to win the pace battle against her. So I wasn't going to include her in my expert picks over on TwinSpires, but I would do nothing to talk you off. Has the slightly fastest pace figures and the inside draw. If that's the way the turf is playing, especially today, has every chance. If I were to throw in a third or offer up somebody a B horse, it might be Herald Angel.
Let's move on to race number 9, State Bred N1X Allowance, 1 turn mile at Aqueduct on the dirt. Blitzton Ladies back in here. We talked about that horse a couple weeks ago on Redboard Rewind.
Blitzton Ladies, definitely a candidate to be the best of speed in this place. Though I feel like the two that I'm gonna, it feels like every race today, my initial reckoning was 2 against the field, and that's the case here as well. Sharp Star has 2 angles I really like with the class relief and the turn back, and I feel like they've been trips in each of the last 2 runs that make them a little bit better than they look. And then Courageous Girl, I thought could get a great pace setup if she can be patient about when she makes a run and takes the cheaper speed that I think is going to be in front of her. Absolutely fits on figs. Needs a little bit of a breakthrough with the 1 for 12 lifetime, but I really like 5. 5 and 6 would be my A's. I would probably keep Blitzton Lady in the mix as a B or a C, though, going forward in picks. How did you see it?
So we're going to kind of flip-flop here. Blitzton Lady for me will be an A for everything you kind of said. I enjoy the fact that this horse just has improved, I feel, every single start. Back-to-back 68s. Can they jump through one more time? Also, Cheltenham Hill, figs are good. 2 wins at the Big A as well. I feel like when you first start off coming into the first weekend at a meet, you want to see horses that have wins, not so much a horse for course angle, but just horses that you know can handle the surface and the track as well.
Definitely makes sense on figures and form. Cheatham Hill is one to keep in the mix.
Race number 10. How are we going to close this out? It is an N1X allowance going 6 furlongs on the turf. Robin Sparkles, I feel like the last 2 times I've seen this horse, I just circle and move on. A little bit different this time out, though.
It's not going to be so easy, but I still think she's a contender and one that I'd want to keep on side. Similar, we keep talking about the angle. Turf or dirt to me, especially when I'm constructing picks bets, I love to have the horse I think is going to be the best speed on side in case it ends up being one of those days. And Robin Sparkles, I think, probably fits that description pretty well. I'm leaving in the mix, but I wonder with all the other speed in here, if we might not be able to get a little bit more of a price in. The one I was looking at to potentially play that role, if we can get her the right kind of hold up ride, is Fetching for Trevor McCarthy. I'm very interested to see how his form transfers to Aqueduct this meet. This is a horse who's right there on figures, and I just think could get the right kind of ride. I want a lot of 1 and 7 to close this thing out.
I couldn't agree more with Fetching. I'm going to go a little bit with number 8, Pure Wow, slowly improving the buyers, especially on the turf. You're not going to see these big jump ups. So I like when it's even a 1 or 2 point jump up every time is very consistent. I like number 4, Saratoga Love, Benji Hernandez in the irons for Christoph. I love the fact when horses don't go straight from the state bred 1X into an open. I like when they go into the 2X and win that as well. It shows that maybe that will be a less of a class jump. I'm not saying it is or isn't, but I feel when an N2X in the state bred, the buyers equal out more in an N1X. I think this one could be very dangerous at a price. We all know how good Christoph has been all year. I wouldn't say it's a breakout year for him because he's always so good, but I feel like for me, when I'm looking to beat a Chad, I'm looking to Christoph more, and I feel like now more and more people realize how good he is.
I mean, he's been just about my favorite trainer for 25 years. So you don't need to give me too much convincing. And I can see the case there on Saratoga Love. And I'll just underline Pure Wow. Somebody might look and be like, oh, it's another front runner and not as fast as the other speed. But on the turn back here, Pure Wow should be able to sit and relax and have an opportunity to go by, I would think. It's a complicated sequence for me because you're definitely convincing me to throw in more runners. I had Pure Wow listed in my picks. I'm going to definitely use as a backup, and I think you make a compelling case on Saratoga Love as well. Let's see if we can get the money here in this pick 5 at Aqueduct.
Can't agree with you more. Thanks for coming on, Pete. Appreciate it. Just one quick note. I don't know if you know, in the first Breeders' Cup race today, Amanzi Yampilo has scratched out as of this morning.
I didn't hear that. That's too bad for my friend CJ Johnson. Had dinner with him the other night with another Spenser cooking for us, our buddy Spenser Vandadool over at Distilled at Richmond or whatever the new location is. And CJ was excited about his chance. So something must have gone wrong there. I suppose it makes Golden Pal's job a little bit easier. That's a key race. I wish we had in-running betting, because if we could just see what kind of position Golden Pal's going to get out of there, I'd love to watch the first 10 seconds of that race before I made my bet at that price. But it's, that ends you up behind bars. So we won't worry about that too much.
I don't like to let even one show go by without giving props to our friends, our founding partners at the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation. You can make a donation to support the great work they do, both with finding homes for retired racehorses and also with humans through their Second Chances program. Donate to them, trfinc.org/players. Every little bit helps. And we'll be updating this probably by the time you go to the website to look. But we might have a few bottles of whiskey left, too. The In the Money malt whiskey, getting great reviews. So happy people are digging it. And if you want to make enough of a donation, you can maybe get yourself a bottle of that as well while supplies available. So that's something else to do as well. Check it out, trfinc.org/players.
And for our last segment today, I'd like to welcome back a special friend of mine, someone who has helped me out monumentally this week, pulling triple double duty, whatever you want to call it. Marshall Sterling, welcome on to talk about this late pick 5 at Del Mar on Saturday.
Yeah, what's going on, man? I appreciate you having me on. I'm always up for talking about the horses, so I'm glad to be back.
Let's jump into this first race. Race number 4 is a 5 furlong turf 50,000 claimer. What did you like in here, Marshall?
So for me, I am stone cold single, never mind. There's two that I like in this race. I like the number 6 Tactical, and I like the 6 is Tactical. The biggest problem that I have with just singling Solardi for Peter Miller, there's other speed in the race, and ultimately for me, I'm a big speed handicapper, and it makes me kind of leery to single when there's other speeds in the race. So I love Solardi in this race for Peter Miller, and then also I like the number 7 Rager, 6-1 for Andrew Lerner and Mike Smith, taking a nice class drop. By far is the best closer in the field, and so if I can have the best speed and I can have the best closer in the first leg, I'm happy about that.
I'm just gonna start with the number 4, Carlate, Doug O'Neill coming off the claim, Abel Cedillo in the irons. I just think this one will be a little bit interesting. O'Neill off the claim, 22% so far, and the Tomlinson first time turf 331 should be fine on the turf. The number 6 Solardi, as you said, I'm just gonna say it straight for what it is. Peter Miller turf sprint. That's all you need to know about this one. And that's where I'm sticking with that. Let's jump into the next race. Race number 5, a maiden special weight going 6 furlongs on the dirt. I'm pretty sure this is where your single is.
Yeah, here's my stone cold single. With Bob Baffert, the Godolphin bred Frosteria. It was a great race first time out. And then after that race came out and had a 4 furlong 47-second workout, just a big blowout workout afterwards. This horse should be dead fit for this race, has tactical speed. The Mishawish filly on the inside, Lunatic, does scare me slightly, just because it's Peter Miller, first time out with Mike Smith aboard. But I'd prefer, especially when it comes to 2-year-olds, I prefer someone who has experience over not, and especially since that debut was pretty professional.
I have 2 in this race, Frosteria as well. Just when they've run around the Beyer par, that second time out improvement's usually 8 to 10 points. That'll put them over the Beyer par. That's very tough for first time starters to usually come back and win.
Mm-hmm.
Lunatic's my second choice. Can't let this one go. Everyone's saying how Mike Smith is staying at Del Mar instead of riding over at Keeneland. Well, this is one of the ones he's got, so I believe he's going to have a bunch of live mounts this week. Peter Miller, like you said, Mishowish. I've had Samich on the Redboard Rewind. We talked about this horse, 23% with debut 2-year-olds.
Yeah,
That's a big number.
that's a big number.
That's a real big number. That's
Yeah.
like now we're getting into like violence and not the times, numbers.
Yep.
Can't leave this one off. Got to
And
go.
they paid 8.5 times for this horse as well in the OBS April sale. So it's obviously this horse has some physicals that really kind of brought that price tag.
Race number 6 is an optional 40,000 N1X going 1 mile on the turf. What say you here, Marshall?
Yeah, I'm pretty spready the next 3 legs. The next 3 legs are pretty tough for me. I need 4 in this race, with my top pick being the number 4, Dr. Troutman. This horse really does possess a lot of speed. Feels like is the speed of the speed in the race. And 2 back was coming out of an optional claiming 62, so this is a slight drop in that respect. And I just think that when it comes to these 1 mile races on the turf, I really do like speed. And so for me, I Dr. Troutman is my top pick. I'm not a huge fan of Aaron Greider as a jockey, but I think that when it comes down to it, I can't let that persuade me in that respect. But so I like the number 4. The number 6, I like Whooping J. Stays basically at the level and is a slight cutback, but does have tactical speed. So that'll be nice to have. And the other 2, Via Ignatia, has speed and has won at the level before. Now, granted, that was a year ago, but that does make me feel better about this horse at the level. And is second off the layoff for Richie Baltus, which you certainly can't go wrong there. And then the number 3, Camaraderie, coming out of the maiden special weight. This horse could be basically any type. Camaraderie has the highest last out speed figure. It doesn't matter which speed figure system you use. The horse has the highest coming out, and will obviously be closing from way out of it. I'm expecting this horse to be last. So if there is a little bit of pace set up with the 6 and the 2, the 4 does possess some speed as well. So if we get a pace meltdown, the 3 will be coming late.
Couldn't agree more with you. The Camaraderie, big maiden win last time out. Via Ignatia, big works, and also coming in with good form after that second place in the 32,000. When you see a big race and then some big works, there is usually more improvement behind when you have a horse like this, even though he is 6. Last one, Whooping J for me as well. Just ultra consistent horse. Shouldn't be left off tickets. Let's move into race number 7. Is another juvenile from today, but it's the 150,000 Golden State Juvenile, 7 furlongs on the dirt. What do you like in here?
Yeah, so in this race, I need 3. I like good with people. Was up against it last race and has beat many others before. I like the number 8, Ascot Storm. The breeding suggests grass and had a big debut. And I also like the number 6, Positivity, which actually beat my top pick, Good with People, last time out, and is very tactical.
For me in this race, I want not one horse that was up on the lead out of the I'm Smoking State Bred stake race. Just the fact that all those horses are under blue fractions. They probably had a better advantageous race that time. Number 6, Positivity, love it. Already has won at the State Bred stake level. And also the number 8, Ascot Storm, good maiden win last time out. Now goes into a barn like John Sadler's. Not that Hector Palma can't do a good job, but just John Sadler's name, I think, reaches more ears than Hector Palma. Let's finish this off with race number 8. It is an optional 40 N1X, 5 furlongs on the turf. What do we like in here, Marshall?
Hey, there we go. This is a tough pay leg. How are we going to get paid in this race? I need 4 in this race. with my top pick being the number 5, Mischiefy. It was a fave at a higher level, tactical, and is coming second off the layoff. Also is 3 for 10 at the distance, which I think is really kind of key, especially with these really short turf sprints. Number 8, Affianced, is tactical. That last race I can draw a line through just because of the very poor start. I mean, the horse went to her knees coming out of the gate. So I can definitely cross that out, and those previous efforts would easily win here. The number 6, Watch Me Burn, is tactical and is dropping in class. So I definitely like that. I mean, the biggest thing for these short turf sprints for me is they need to be able to be up close. I'm usually not a closing type when it comes to 5 furlong turf sprints. Which leads me to my last one, which is the number 2, Cheap, Cheap, Cheap. This horse might be cheap speed, but is the speed of the speed, especially at this distance. So I definitely have to have cheap, cheap, cheap on my tickets.
For me, Watch Me Burn is one I have to use. Ultra consistent with the high 70, low 80 buyers for trainer Val Brinkerhoff. Just one that when you have the ultra consistent types in these allowance races, you want to make sure that you keep them on tickets. Number 5, Mischiefy, drops into the 40 after having a good race for 62 last time out, which can be kind of muddling when they run well for 62. Why are they dropping? You never know. Mm-hmm. And then also the number 3, Acting Out, is another one that just 3 straight numbers at 7 in the 70s. Just only needs a little bit of improvement here to possibly hit the wire. I can't thank you enough, Mark, for coming on. Let's hit this pick 5 at Del Mar. Fun sequence. Glad to have you on. We'll be talking soon about Breeders' Cup later today.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
This show has been a production for In the Money Media. In the Money Media's president is Pierre Thomas Forntel. Our chief creative officer is Jonathan Kinchin, and our In the Money Media business manager is Drew Coatney. I'm Spenser Luganbuehl, and we will see you next time.